Hello, I am Made Skeleton, and I wanted to talk about how Trample and Deathtouch works in Magic the Gathering. For the example, we're going to do Brunor Battlehammer, and we're also going to have Gorgon's Head and Lightning Spear. We're going to have a 10-3 Brunor Battlehammer with Trample and Deathtouch. And we're going to see what happens to our opponent's board of 3 4/4 Relentless Rats. The rules on Deathtouch. The static ability. A creature with toughness greater than 0 that's been dealt damage by a source with Deathtouch since the last time state-based actions were checked is destroyed as a state-based action. See Rule 704. State-based actions. State-based actions are game actions that happen automatically whether certain conditions listed below are met. State-based actions don't use the stack. Very important, they don't use the stack. We're going to skip over to if a creature has toughness greater than 0 and it's been dealt damage by a source with Deathtouch since the last time state-based actions were checked, that creature is destroyed. Regeneration can replace this event. I could not find anything on whether or not the thing had to be a 1, just greater than 0. Like an example would have been nice, but it says greater than 0. So, that's how Deathtouch works. So now that we have a better idea of how Deathtouch works, we also have Trample. So let's look at Trample. (702.19b). The controller of an attacking creature with Trample first assigns damage to the creatures blocking it. Once all those blocking creatures are assigned lethal damage, any excess damage is assigned to as its controller chooses among those blocking creatures and the player, planeswalker, or battle the creature is attacking. When checking for assigned lethal damage, take into account damage already marked on the creature and damage from other creatures that's being assigned during the same combat damage step, but not any abilities or effects that might change the amount of damage that's actually dealt. The attacking creature's controller need not assign lethal damage to all those blocking creatures, but in that case, can't assign any damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. Because of how this is worded, it's always been just so confusing to me, while also we're trying to establish where Deathtouch comes into play. So when checking for assigned lethal damage, Deathtouch, take into account damage already marked on the creature, Deathtouch, and damage from other creatures that's being assigned during the same combat damage step, but not any abilities or effects that might change the amount of damage that's actually dealt. The attacking creature's controller need not assign lethal damage to all those blocking creatures but in that case can't assign any damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. So we're going to look at the example that they provide, and I'm going to go over my theories here. So a 2/2 creature that can block an additional creature blocks 2 attackers. So our 2/2 creature in this case is True Heart Duelist. So we have a generic and 1 white human warrior. Can block an additional creature each combat. And a 1/1 with no abilities. I'm assuming we're talking about Dryad Arbor. It's a 1 creature with no abilities. And a 3/3 with Trample, which in this case I'm assuming is Joval Rider. It was a very, very popular choice of a creature. And it's a 3/3 with Trample. The active player could assign 1 damage from the first attacker and 1 damage from the second to the blocking creature, and 2 damage to the defending player from the creature with Trample. I have a problem with this example because this wants you to be in a situation where we are fully, legitimately destroying the blocking creature, which adds to the confusion. They gave us another example, though. So a 6/6 green creature with Trample, now it specifically has to be a green creature. Oh, look at that! We have Bramble Weft Behemoth. It's a green creature. It's a 6/6. It has Trample. We have our 6/6 green creature with Trample. So what are we doing with our 6/6 green creature with Trample? It's blocked. We're blocked by a 2/2 creature with protection from green. I'm assuming it's a Vidalian zombie. Those Dimir. Those crafty Dimir and their protection from green. They also have Zombie Outlander, which is literally just this, but not a merfolk. And then they've got other stuff that like has other things, but all we care about is protection from green and being a 2/2. Those Grenier though, those Dimir though, those Dimir. So our 6/6 green creature with Trample is blocked by a 2/2 creature with protection from green. The attacking creature's controller must assign at least 2 damage to the blocker, even though that damage will be prevented by the blocker's protection ability. The attacking creature's controller can divide the rest of the damage as they choose between the blocking creature and the defending creature. This, I feel, gives a lot more clarity than the other example provided here, because this nonsense is confusing. Like, we're talking about Trample, and you're giving me a situation where we are committing lethal to something that would most definitely go to the graveyard. The second example is more enlightening, but still confuses this whole concept. So there's a lot of other rules about Trample. I just don't know if it's relevant. So our 10/3 Brunar Battlehammer with Trample and Deathtouch. Are we doing 1 damage to each of these rats, and then because that's lethal, we can just do the rest of the damage to the opponent's face? Or do we have to do the full damage, in which case they have a rat survive to actually eliminate Brunar. Is in the one example, it's just so confusing. It wants you to be in a situation where you're doing exact damage to actually eliminate the blocking creature. And then the other example is like, Brunar should not be able to actually win this fight. The Relentless Rats should just win. I'm not a judge, just this has been an interaction. Every time it comes up, it's just so confusing, and it seems, depending on who's judging, whether the damage effectively goes on the stack, or you would have to go through the full amount, because remember, the blocking creature, when it's affected by Deathtouch, is just destroyed. So hopefully this was hopefully someone knows what the answer to this is and can enlighten everybody. And sometimes I feel like I figured it out, and then I'll go to record all this, and then I go to record and I'm confused again. Have a good one.